A little bit about, oh, here you go. You can say basically this. I want to collect information from students to make teaching and classrooms better for learning. All right, a lot of people make decisions about classrooms. Sometimes I feel like the most important voices aren't present. That would be you, yours. You're a student and you have a lot of good things to say, I know, which is why I'm excited for this interview. The only thing that I ask is that you try your best to give specific experiences, examples, and try not to use teachers' names. So I really like when teachers, or I don't like when teachers, not I like when Mr. Silverberg. You know what I mean? Okay, so we'll just start, and it'll be conversation, and we'll see what we get. When do you most enjoy learning?
I most enjoy learning when we do projects.
What about projects do you like?
I like how we get to create our own ideas in the projects and not all scripted work, that it's up to us what we want to do and not just what the teachers want us to do.
Cool, agree. And as a learner, what do you feel you need to be successful?
I need assistance to be successful because I need to make sure what I'm doing is correct and not just the teacher saying go on and do it on your own. Like, we need recognition sometimes, even though we don't get it on the test, we get it when we're doing classwork, so on the test we wouldn't need it.
Cool, cool thought. What is one thing that you wish teachers did more often?
I think teachers would do more, like, prizes, like, you know, like if we get our work done, we'll get this, or even academic prizes, like, you know, out of uniform days, or, you know, stuff like that.
Because that's working for you in earth science.
Yeah.
You've never done more work until I offered up that out of uniform day. That's important, though, because that was something, a reward that came from you guys. So if you want it, you're going to work harder for it, which makes total sense.
Is that the Rose? Oh, hi. I couldn't see who you were.
Okay, so is there anything that you wish we learned in school because you feel like it's important for life?
How to do bills, like you're on your own when you graduate, even high school. Like, we don't get the taxes part. We only get like multiplication or division, and that's necessary, but we don't get like the down pack necessary things to do.
So like real world context. Taxes is one thing you thought of.
Because scientific notation, I'm not going to have to use that doing certain things, so it's not necessary. And I don't need to know the radius of a shape doing my taxes. It's not going to make sense.
But you want to know the math that goes into doing taxes. That's a really good point. What's the last thing that you learned outside of school? Sort of going on this thread.
The last thing I learned outside of school was something with my computer, how to change different things, the settings on my computer, and that I learned by myself.
How'd you figure that out?
I was touching buttons on my computer that I don't usually touch, and it popped up to something, and I looked it up, and that's how I knew what I was doing.
Looked it up where?
On my computer. So I think I put Command Shift 4 in that screenshot. I didn't know how to do it on my computer, only the school computers, and it worked. And I just looked up how to screenshot, and it was the same exact keys.
Great. When's the last time you learned something from another student?
Today, actually. One of my classmates actually helped me learn how to do something with math, and it was like, it had exponents and fractions, and I didn't know how, and he taught me how to do it, and I was like, oh, thank you.
Do you like learning from other students?
Yeah, because it shows like someone else your age knows what they're doing, and so should you.
Yeah. Is there anything you feel like you could teach students?
I think I could teach students non-academic, but personal. Like when it comes to their social life or how to cope with things, I could teach students that.
I think you could too. You would be like a student expert in that. All right, this is a hard question. Think to lots of interactions with teachers. What's the most unexpected thing that you've learned from a teacher?
The most unexpected thing I learned from a teacher had to be in science, when we learned about the body, and when we were doing like inside of the cell, I was like, when in life does the inside of the cell matter to me, you know? Because what if I wanted to be a librarian? It's not gonna matter to me. And I just thought that was interesting, but like, why would we ever need that?
Have you ever felt like you've learned something not academic from a teacher?
Non-academic. No, I think the teachers are really down-packed on what they have to do. I've heard about their personal lives, and I don't really care to hear about their personal lives, but yeah.
Well, not about hearing about their personal lives, but have you ever learned anything from them that's not traditionally categorized as academic?
Oh, I've learned techniques to do things that tend to academic, like in math, how to do different types of multiplication, or like shortcuts to do things quicker, but still do them.
And have you ever learned something that helps you with your relationships from teachers?
Yeah, actually there's one teacher I hold near and dear to me, that they sometimes step out from being a teacher and to be a friend when they need to be when it comes to certain things. As in relationships, they'll tell me how it is and how they view it, and I'll learn from that because that's an adult's point of view to a child's point of view.
Huh. Because there might be room for a teacher to teach something like that. Say, for example, if your relationship was getting in the way of your work, then would you want a teacher to teach into your relationship so that you could do your work, something like that?
Yeah, but also you have to know your boundaries. And the teacher has to know their boundaries, and I have to know my boundaries. And I really wouldn't try to let my relationship that's outside of school, and I would try to let that affect me outside and my work affect me inside of school.
Great. Would you feel comfortable interacting with teachers over the internet?
Yes, it's actually more convenient for me than coming to school. If I could FaceTime you guys when I was sick, I would.
Like we did for Lotus. And you know what I was thinking of when I asked that? One of the best experiences I've had, like outside of school with a student, was the other evening when we happened to both be on email at the same time.
Yeah.
So we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it was almost like we were instant messaging. And it was about you doing additional work, and instantaneously you got some praise for doing that work, and then you sent me some more. Does that sort of stuff have any impact on your learning?
It shows that a teacher actually cares, and it's not like in earth science, it's not other 10 kids in the room. It's like recognition to that one student right then and there, and they could get it as soon as they give the work.
And have you ever felt like you needed help outside of school?
Yeah.
And then what do you do when that happens?
I'll look it up on my computer. I'll ask my mom, even if she knows what she's doing, but mostly the computer works.
Great. Okay. Let's think. What sort of things do you do on your cell phone?
Oh, I do everything on my phone. I food shop on my phone. I figure out how many sneakers I have on my phone. I text on my phone, social media, all that. But I'll also learn if I need to learn about, if I'm on the go. And actually, me and my mom were thinking how many miles it is from Brooklyn to Manhattan in the water. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, look, something new.
Right? You can find out anything right away. That's why I love phones too. This is wonderful. I only have one last question for you, I think. Maybe I'll ask two. Did I ask you, what do you wish teachers do more often? I think I did. What do you wish teachers did less often?
Recommending kids, even though it's necessary. Like, I think recommending a kid takes up more time in the class that some students actually want to learn, and they don't want to have to listen to, like, oh, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Like, it would...
Reprimanding.
Yeah.
Reprimanding. You wish that they didn't take time from class to, like, specifically call out a student, especially if it's not you.
Yeah. They should do that on their own time, not my time.
And this is the official last. If you have, like, one of the goals is to get this to as many teachers as possible. If you could give one piece of advice to new teachers or teachers learners, you know, what would it be? One piece of advice.
Don't let teaching affect who you really are.
Love that. Can you tell me what you mean by that? Because I have an idea, but I want to hear yours.
My grandmother was a teacher.
Okay.
For middle school, actually. And she kind of let the teaching get in the way of who she was. She's a very nice lady, always very caring, but she was so into the books that she would come off rude to the kids if they didn't do what she said. But I just feel like you could be nice and you could also be a great teacher. That just has to balance out with the respect level.
Okay, we have to dive deeper because it's really important. I feel like you're hitting on the crux. Like, we have a class together. Let's tell the viewers at YouTube. We have a class together that's only 12 people. And I also taught you in a class of 25. I feel like I'm able to be more of myself in that class of 12. Do you agree?
Yes.
And it's possible because there's fewer of us, there's less variables, you know. how does that, you just told me how it affects the class, but how can we help teachers be who they are?
Well, smaller classrooms, but we can't always do smaller classrooms. But if you could, like, take a second after class and be like, hey, you were really good today. Even you don't even have to say every kid, but if a kid really stood out to you, you did really good today, because it feels great when a teacher tells you you did a good job today. Because it shows they're happy with you and you happy with yourself. I know when you told me I have 25 Regents points, I was like, wow, I'm doing something right. It felt great.
Good. Great. You know what? You've given me tons of food for thought. Do you have anything you want to add before I say goodbye?
I love earth science.
What do you love about earth science?
I love about earth science that it's a small class and we really get down to the nitty gritty. And we're able to do a lot of labs since there's not a lot of us. And they're fun. A lot of trips, a lot of labs.
A lot of trips, a lot of labs. Yeah, and one thing that I've noticed is that I can be more flexible in my plan. So sometimes I'll go in with a specific idea. And then the feeling of the room, or what you guys have gone through the period before, or sometimes there's something social happening in the class and people just don't feel like they're set up to do that exactly. I feel like with the smaller class I can make a change and people can get on board with it and we can be more successful just because we can be more flexible because we're small. So thanks for sharing why you love it, and that's why I love it.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on my show. I might have to have you back because you're so insightful. Thank you.
My back hurts now.